Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson Football Channel. It is Monday morning. I thought I would try and get a Chelsea FC news video uploaded for you guys so that when you wake up, be it in Europe, the US, or maybe it's the middle of the afternoon if you're watching in Asia or Oceania, Australia, wherever you might be watching, I wanted to update you guys on the latest Chelsea news, including Romelu Lukaku, why haven't we seen an announcement yet, what's going on there, updates with Armando Broja, Tammy Abraham, and also want to kind of look at where Chelsea have gone in the transfer market with Edin Dzeko looking like the replacement for Inter Milan to replace Romelu Lukaku. Remember, Edin Dzeko is somebody who many years ago, the OGs amongst you will remember, that apparently he was my lookalike when I was making FIFA videos, but Chelsea have been linked with Edin Dzeko over the years, and I think it really is a testament to where the club have gone, the way that we've managed to run ourselves going through transfer bans, having the inability to sign players, but then with what Frank Lampard did, breathing the youth into this first team. Now, as Champions League winners, Chelsea are in a very, very special position, having gone through the pandemic, which is still going on in the world, but financially in football, the damage that's been done in the past year and a half, the fact that Chelsea is still in a position to be able to go and spend near £100 million to bring a striker of Romelu Lukaku's level to Chelsea Football Club during this time, I think is a very, very special moment. And I think what it could do to propel Chelsea forward over the course of the next few years is absolutely massive. And again, it's no disrespect to Edin Dzeko, but everybody kind of knew when Chelsea have been linked with Dzeko over the years, as much as he does seem to be one of those fine wine strikers, it was never really the top target that Chelsea were after. It was a case of we couldn't really replace Diego Costa the way that we wanted to do, got linked with Edin Dzeko multiple times, never signed him, and now Inter Milan are the ones selling us their prime elite world-class striker, and then they have to sign Edin Dzeko in order to replace him. So I guess the point I wanted to make there is for us Chelsea fans to be grateful for where we are right now, to be excited for what is about to come with Romelu Lukaku joining Chelsea. Going to update you on the Lukaku situation to the best of my knowledge in a moment, but the first story that I want to discuss today really is Armando Broja, a man who during this pre-season, I've come out and said a lot of good things about him. I said that with Giroud leaving, with the likelihood of Tammy Abraham leaving also, it could well be one of those seasons where Armando Broja does get a place in the squad simply because we've offloaded far too many strikers. It looks as though that isn't going to be the case. And as much as I said I would like to see Broja remain at Chelsea this season and be a part of something, the move that is being documented at the moment is a loan move to Southampton. We know that Broja has just signed a new 5-year deal at Chelsea. We also know that with the signing of Romelu Lukaku, it could be one of those again where obviously Lukaku is going to be the main man now for quite some time. Timo Werner is still technically a striker, and we know with how Inter Milan and Romelu Lukaku work together, Lukaku was excellent alongside Lautaro Martinez. And it's also probably going to be the same way alongside either a Kai Havertz or a Timo Werner. Chelsea are in fact to play with two strikers, something that we've actually seen Thomas Tuchel experiment with during pre-season. So it makes it difficult for Broja. It makes it difficult for him to see a way in. If we do go with a 3-4-3 with only one centre forward, you can bet your bottom dollar it's going to be Lukaku who's going to be that guy. And then obviously Timo Werner maybe off the bench. Kai Havertz can come through the middle too. It makes things very difficult for Armando Broja. Now, with Southampton losing Danny Ings, I do believe this is a really good opportunity for Broja to come in and compete with the rest of the Southampton strikers to actually get himself a place regularly in the Premier League. Now, I think Chelsea would have looked at this deal having just given Broja the new contract, and sending him out on loan to a Premier League club where he's simply going to sit on the bench doesn't really, to me, seem like something that Chelsea would be willing to do. Broja during pre-season has pretty much done all he can to show Thomas Tuchel, the player that he is, to show Chelsea the reason why they're willing to offer him a 5-year contract extension. So, this move to Southampton, I'm unsure at the moment as to how many minutes he's going to play. If he does, I do think we're going to see Broja scoring a lot of goals. Let me know in the comments down below what have been your thoughts to summarise Armando Broja's pre-season. Is this Southampton loan move something you think is beneficial to the player? Of course, at Chelsea right now, we can't have too many players just sat there wondering if they're ever going to get any minutes, be it in the League Cup or anything else. So if Broja is not going to be able to break through with Lukaku, Havertz, Werner, Tammy Abraham still there, but we're going to talk about him in a moment, then I think a loan move to a team like Southampton is a really good one for Armando Broja. We move to talk about Tammy Abraham. Now, the interesting thing with Tammy is West Ham supposedly were looking at his wages and thinking something we can't match. Arsenal have now made Tammy Abraham their number one target. And I think with Tammy, it looks to me as though Lukaku might come in and take the number 9 shirt. So we're sat here on Monday morning, of course, still talking about Tammy Abraham as a Chelsea player. And if Tammy Abraham does stay at Chelsea, I would be happy because, of course, we've got this narrative of him coming up through the academy. His goal scoring record is something that I've never tried to play down. However, he's also aware, Chelsea are aware, that even though we gave him the number 9 shirt, he made a very good start to life in the Premier League under Frank Lampard. It's not been at the level that Chelsea need in order to be able to consistently compete at this moment in time for every single trophy that we are competing for. So, Tammy Abraham, at the moment, there are 3 front runners in this deal, and supposedly, according to Fabrizio Romano, there is going to be a meeting in place potentially today with Atalanta for a potential €40 million move. Atalanta, they're obviously going to be, well, it looks as though they could be getting rid of Zapata. He's going to go to Inter Milan, which therefore means they need a striker. Tammy Abraham is that striker they might be looking at. For Tammy, I think this would be a very good move. I think at 21, 22 years old, where he's still creating the striker that he's going to be. Again, you compare it to Romelu Lukaku when he signed for Chelsea. Yes, people can look at Chelsea selling Lukaku and then buying him back as like, well, look at the player you missed out on for the last 8 years. There is an element to that, but at the same time, I think Chelsea have waited for the perfect financial opportunity to bring Lukaku back, the perfect time when it's actually something the squad needs and the manager needs, and when Lukaku is in the prime years of his career. Tammy Abraham's Chelsea story, with the whole way things went last season, without having a striker as our top scorer in the Premier League, it really highlighted, especially with the amount of big chances that were missed in our Premier League games, everybody knew that Chelsea were going to be going out for a big name goal scorer this summer. Now for Tammy, that is going to mean even less minutes for Chelsea in the Premier League after he lost a lot of minutes last season to Timo Werner. With Lukaku coming through the door as well, we can see, and Thomas Tuchel is very well aware, of the benefits that Timo Werner brings into the side. It shoves Tammy right down at the bottom. You know, the fact he didn't even make the FA Cup final squad was always going to be something that hurt him. And I think you can see that friendly against Spurs, when Tammy Abraham leaves the pitch, the look on his face. The pictures circulated the internet enough. It did look as though it might have been his final bow out on the Stamford Bridge pitch. Who knows what happens again in the future? I do believe in Tammy Abraham there is a very decent goal scorer who needs to cultivate his style a bit better, who needs to learn a little bit more about his strengths and the team that he's playing in, and score a few more big chances. But Tammy Abraham, at the moment, it's looking as though Atalanta are the closest to at least having a meeting, but I believe that Tammy Abraham wants the Arsenal move. It's been heavily reported as well. We will see over the course of the next few days if Arsenal do in fact go in with an official bid for Tammy Abraham. I think he'd be open to the move. Chelsea are reportedly willing to accept £35 million, which is £5 million less than the initial asking price that was quoted. So Tammy looks like he's on his way out. I would love to say, obviously, if it does go through, that I've absolutely loved seeing Tammy's story coming up through the Chelsea Academy, what he's done in the team in the time that he's had. Although it hasn't set the world on fire, it's certainly been a story where Chelsea fans will remember a lot of very fond memories with Tammy Abraham in the squad. Finishing off, we talked about a lot of strikers today, but Romelu Lukaku, people are panicking. People, unless they see an announcement from the club, people like to just get carried away thinking, something's going to happen. You know, there's going to be a catastrophe that absolutely steps in the way of this deal. As far as I'm aware, it's simply a case of it's been the weekend, and I don't know if it's always like this in football, but from my opinion, paperwork's not being signed can be a simple thing of the fact it is the weekend. Maybe there's a couple of I's that don't have dots on the top of them, so people are looking at thinking, is that an L? I don't think this is an L. You know, you see where I went with that one? But Lukaku to Chelsea, medical is expected today. Romelu Lukaku himself is waiting for the green light to fly to Belgium in order to conduct his medical. I think in terms of the pipe dream of him actually featuring in the Super Cup game against Villarreal on Thursday night, realistically, at this moment in time here on Monday morning, with nothing signed, with contracts not being finalised, the deal not being totally over the line, and no medical, I think it could be a little bit too soon. However, there's absolutely no reason why Romelu Lukaku couldn't make his second Chelsea debut against Crystal Palace in the Premier League at the weekend. And if he doesn't make it against them, then we all know in the behind closed doors friendly on Sunday against Weymouth, he'll play in that one. So I'm sure this is Monday. By Sunday, we will have seen Romelu Lukaku in a Chelsea shirt once again. I'm incredibly excited for this deal to be done. And as soon as it is, of course, I've already done my Welcome to Chelsea video, but when we get all the images, when we get all of the first comments from Lukaku in a press conference, in an interview, I will be sure to document it here with my thoughts on GBFC. Later on today, there is going to be another video. The Premier League begins this weekend, so GBFC is going to be on fire. So if you are not yet subscribed, make sure you do so. Turn on bell notifications so that you don't miss a single video. And Lukaku is on Come On You Blues, champions of Europe.